Welcome to Speak English with me.
Improve your vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation with our engaging lessons.
Quick challenge before we begin. Think about the last time you gave someone advice. Did they thank you for it, or did they suddenly become a little defensive? If you've ever experienced that awkward moment, today's conversation is going to help you understand why it happens.
You know, I had one of those moments recently, and it still makes me cringe a little.
That sounds like a story worth hearing.
A friend of mine was telling me about a problem at work. She felt overwhelmed, stressed, and completely exhausted. I listened for a few minutes and then jumped in with what I thought were helpful suggestions.
Let me guess, the conversation didn't go the way you expected.
Not even close. I said things like, you should organize your schedule better, and you need to stop taking on so many tasks. In my mind, I was being supportive. In her mind, I sounded like a boss giving instructions.
That's such a common mistake, especially for English learners. Sometimes we learn a phrase like, you should, because it's grammatically correct, and then we use it everywhere without realizing how strong it can sound.
That's what surprised me. I wasn't trying to control her. I genuinely wanted to help.
And that's the interesting part. Good intentions don't always create good communication. People don't just react to our ideas, they react to the way those ideas are delivered.
When I thought about it later, I realized I never asked for her opinion. I never invited her into the conversation. I simply started telling her what to do.
And most people don't enjoy feeling managed, especially when they didn't ask for advice in the first place.
The funny thing is that the suggestions themselves weren't terrible. The problem was the tone behind them.
That's what we're exploring today. How can you make suggestions in English that sound helpful, friendly, and respectful instead of bossy or controlling?
Because sometimes a small change in wording can make the difference between someone rejecting your idea and someone genuinely considering it.
You know, Emma, something you said a moment ago really stood out to me. You mentioned that a small change in wording can completely change how a suggestion is received.
It really can. And I think that's because most people don't like feeling that someone else is taking control of their decisions.
That's such an important point. When people come to us with a problem, they usually want understanding first. The solution often comes second.
I learned that lesson the hard way with a former coworker. She was working on a presentation and feeling nervous about it. Instead of listening carefully, I immediately started offering solutions. I told her what slides to remove, what points to change, and how she should organize everything.
You went straight into problem-solving mode.
I did, and after a few minutes, she became very quiet. At first, I thought she was considering my suggestions. Later, I realized she felt overwhelmed.
What happened afterward?
She told me something I'll never forget. She said I wasn't looking for instructions, I just needed someone to listen for a minute.
Wow, that's a powerful observation.
It was, and honestly, I felt a little embarrassed because I genuinely thought I was helping.
I can relate to that. Years ago, I had a friend who wanted to get into better shape. Every time we met, he talked about exercising more consistently. One day, I decided to give him what I thought was helpful advice.
Let me guess, you had a complete plan ready for him.
More than a plan, I practically gave him a schedule for his entire week. I told him when to exercise, what to eat, and how often to train.
That's ambitious.
Looking back, it was far too much. He listened politely, but I could see his enthusiasm disappear. The conversation felt heavier with every minute.
Because instead of feeling supported, he probably felt judged.
That's what I eventually understood. Even though my intentions were good, my advice accidentally suggested that he wasn't handling things well enough on his own.
And that's where many communication problems begin. People hear more than the words themselves. They also hear the emotion behind them.
That's why native English speakers often soften suggestions. They're not trying to sound uncertain, they're trying to sound respectful.
And once you understand that idea, the phrases we're about to explore will make a lot more sense because they're designed to keep the conversation open rather than make the other person feel pressured.
And that's where language becomes really powerful. Once you understand why people resist certain kinds of advice, the next step is learning how to express your ideas in a way that feels helpful rather than controlling.
And the good news is that you don't need complicated English to do that. In many cases, a small change in wording can completely change the tone of a conversation.
Let's look at a common situation. Imagine your friend is constantly feeling stressed because they're taking on too many responsibilities. A lot of learners might say, you should stop saying yes to everything.
Grammatically, that's correct. There's nothing wrong with the sentence itself, but depending on the situation, it can sound a little strong.
A softer option might be, maybe you could try saying no occasionally when you're already busy.
Notice the difference. The second version feels more like a suggestion than an instruction.
Here's another example. Imagine a coworker keeps missing deadlines.
The direct version might be, you need to manage your time better.
But a more diplomatic version could be, have you thought about breaking the project into smaller tasks?
I like that one because it focuses on a possible solution instead of highlighting the person's mistake.
That's a great observation. People generally respond better when they feel encouraged rather than criticized.
Let's try another situation. Suppose your friend is struggling to save money,
Many people would immediately say, you should stop spending so much.
which, to be honest, nobody enjoys hearing.
Not many people do.
Instead, you could say, have you considered setting a monthly budget? Or one thing that might help is tracking your expenses for a few weeks.
Both suggestions sound supportive. You're offering an idea rather than telling someone how to live their life.
There's another phrase I hear native speakers use quite often. It might be worth.
That's an excellent expression for intermediate and upper intermediate learners.
For example, if a student is struggling with speaking confidence, you could say, it might be worth practicing with a language partner a few times each week.
Or if someone is having trouble sleeping, you could say, it might be worth reducing screen time before bed.
What's interesting is that this phrase sounds thoughtful. You're presenting an option for consideration.
Here's another useful expression. If I were in your position.
I love that phrase because it acknowledges that you're speaking from your own perspective.
For example, if I were in your position, I'd take a few days to think about the offer before making a decision.
Notice how it doesn't pressure the listener. You're simply sharing what you would personally do.
And that's often the secret to effective suggestions. Instead of acting like the authority on someone else's life, you're contributing an idea to the conversation.
People usually appreciate that approach because it leaves room for them to make their own choice.
One final expression that's extremely useful is, perhaps it would help to,
Such as, perhaps it would help to make a checklist before starting the project.
or perhaps it would help to talk to your manager about your workload.
The phrase sounds calm, respectful, and supportive.
And as you've probably noticed, all of these expressions have something in common. They reduce pressure.
They invite people into a conversation rather than pushing them toward a decision.
You know, all these phrases remind me of a manager I worked with years ago. He was one of the smartest people in the company, and nobody questioned his knowledge.
That's usually the kind of person you'd expect everyone to admire.
You would think so. He understood the business, solved problems quickly, and worked incredibly hard. Yet people avoided asking for his opinion whenever possible.
That's surprising. What was the issue?
Every suggestion sounded like an order. If someone showed him a report, he'd say, change this. If someone shared an idea, he'd respond with, do it this way instead.
So even when he was trying to help, it felt like he was taking over.
That's exactly what happened. Over time, people became less enthusiastic around him. Meetings became quieter. Team members stopped sharing ideas because they assumed their suggestions would be corrected immediately.
That creates a difficult atmosphere. People start protecting themselves instead of contributing.
One day, a senior employee spoke with him privately. The conversation wasn't about his technical skills, it was about his communication style.
That must have been a tough conversation.
It was. At first, he was confused. He genuinely believed he was helping the team succeed. He couldn't understand why people were reacting negatively.
I think many listeners can relate to that. Sometimes we focus so much on solving the problem that we forget about the person.
That's a great way to put it. A few weeks later, something interesting happened. During a meeting, a team member presented a new idea. Normally, the manager would have immediately explained what needed to change.
Let me guess, this time he tried something different.
He did. Instead of saying, no, do it this way, he said, that's an interesting approach. What do you think would happen if we tried this option as well?
That sounds much more collaborative.
The reaction was immediate. The employee stayed engaged, other people joined the discussion, the room felt more energetic.
Because nobody felt attacked, they felt invited into the conversation.
Over the next few months, his language gradually changed. He still shared ideas, still offered guidance, and still corrected mistakes when necessary. The difference was that people no longer felt controlled.
And that's an important lesson. Being polite doesn't mean hiding your opinion. It means expressing your opinion in a way that respects the other person's independence.
The fascinating part is that his ideas didn't change very much.
Only the delivery changed.
And that small adjustment transformed the way people responded to him.
Which shows that effective communication isn't only about what you say, it's also about how you make people feel while you're saying it.
That story highlights something important. Once you move beyond basic English, communication becomes less about grammar and more about nuance.
That's a word learners hear quite often, nuance.
Right. Nuance is the small difference in meaning, tone, or feeling that can completely change how a message is received.
And suggestions are perfect examples of that. Two sentences can communicate a similar idea while creating very different reactions.
Let's look at a workplace situation. Imagine your team is struggling with a project and you have an idea that might help. A direct approach would be, we should change the entire strategy.
That's not necessarily rude, but it can sound like you've already made the decision for everyone.
A more diplomatic approach might be, what do you think about adjusting our strategy a little?
I like that because it invites participation. People naturally want to share their thoughts.
Another excellent phrase is, would it make sense to...
That's a very natural expression in professional environments.
For example, would it make sense to schedule another meeting before the deadline?
Or would it make sense to get some feedback from the client before we move forward?
Notice how these suggestions sound cooperative. You're exploring possibilities together.
Here's another phrase that native speakers use frequently. I wonder if...
That's one of my favorites because it sounds curious rather than authoritative.
For instance, if a friend is having trouble concentrating, you could say, I wonder if taking short breaks during the day would help.
Or if someone is struggling to learn English, you might say, I wonder if listening to more English podcasts could make practice feel easier.
The listener doesn't feel pressured, they simply hear an idea worth considering.
Let's move to a family situation. Imagine you're planning a vacation with several relatives. Everyone has different opinions and tensions are starting to rise.
That's a very realistic scenario.
Instead of saying, we should stay in this hotel, you could say, could it be worth considering this hotel?
That phrase creates space for discussion. Nobody feels as though their opinion has been dismissed.
Another useful expression is, one possible approach might be...
That's a wonderful phrase for upper intermediate learners because it sounds thoughtful and professional.
For example, one possible approach might be to divide the work among several people.
Or one possible approach might be to save a small amount of money each month instead of trying to save a large amount all at once.
What's interesting is that these expressions don't make you sound weak.
That's a common misconception. Some learners worry that softer language makes them sound less confident.
In reality, many strong communicators use this kind of language every day.
Because confidence isn't about controlling the conversation. Confidence is about sharing your ideas clearly while remaining open to other perspectives.
And when people feel respected, they're often more willing to listen.
Which means that softer suggestions can sometimes have a stronger impact than direct instructions.
Before we move on, remember this simple principle. The purpose of a suggestion is not to win an argument.
It's to help someone consider a possibility they may not have thought about before.
After everything we've discussed today, there's one important point we should add. Making suggestions politely doesn't mean avoiding direct language in every situation.
That's true. Sometimes people hear advice about being diplomatic and assume they should always soften their words.
But there are moments when clarity matters more than diplomacy.
For example, imagine someone is about to touch a hot surface.
You're probably not going to say, I wonder if it might be worth considering moving your hand.
Definitely not. You're going to say, stop, and you're going to say it quickly.
The same principle applies in workplaces. If a serious mistake could affect a customer, a project, or someone's safety, direct communication is often necessary.
The key difference is your intention. Are you trying to help solve an urgent problem, or are you simply trying to control the situation?
That's a great question to ask yourself before speaking.
There's also a middle ground. You can be direct without sounding rude.
For example, instead of saying, "You always do this wrong," you could say, "We need to fix this before the deadline."
One version attacks the person, the other focuses on the problem.
And strong communicators understand that difference.
So don't leave today's conversation thinking that every suggestion needs to sound soft and indirect.
The real goal is choosing the right tone for the situation.
Sometimes that tone is gentle, sometimes it's direct. The skill is knowing when each approach is appropriate.
Before we finish, let's put some of these ideas into practice with a few everyday situations.
Great. Let's start with a friend who's spending far more money than they can afford.
A bossy version might sound like this: "You need to stop wasting money."
Most people won't enjoy hearing that.
A more natural suggestion could be, "Have you thought about setting a monthly budget?"
Same topic, very different feeling.
Here's another one. Imagine a coworker keeps arriving late to meetings.
The direct version, you should be more punctual.
The softer version, would it help if we sent a reminder before the meeting starts?
That sounds much more cooperative.
Next situation, your brother keeps putting off important tasks.
A bossy response might be, you need to get organized.
A friendlier approach could be, perhaps it would help to make a simple to-do list.
That's offering support instead of criticism.
Last example, your friend feels overwhelmed by studying English.
A lot of people would immediately say you should study harder.
But a better suggestion might be, what do you think about studying for shorter periods more consistently?
That sounds encouraging rather than judgmental.
And when you look at all these examples together, a pattern starts to emerge.
The most effective suggestions don't make people feel small. They make people feel capable.
That's why tone matters so much. People are usually more willing to listen when they feel respected.
And often the difference comes down to just a few words.
Which means that improving your English isn't only about learning new vocabulary, it's also about learning how to communicate with empathy. As we wrap up today's conversation, let's return to the question we started with. Why do some suggestions feel helpful while others feel bossy?
And the answer usually isn't the idea itself. More often, it's the way the idea is communicated.
Throughout this discussion, we've looked at different phrases, different situations, and even a few personal stories, but they all point to the same lesson. People generally respond better when they feel respected.
That doesn't mean you have to hide your opinions or avoid giving advice.
It simply means presenting your ideas in a way that leaves room for the other person to think, respond, and make their own decision.
So the next time you're about to say, you should do this, take a moment and consider whether there's a more collaborative way to express the same thought.
You might be surprised by how differently people react.
And for our English learners listening today, try choosing one or two of the expressions we discussed and use them in a real conversation this week. The more you practice them, the more natural they'll become.
Thanks for spending this time with us. We hope today's conversation helps you communicate with more confidence and build stronger connections in English.
Take care, keep practicing, and we'll talk to you soon.